Arkham Knight is easily my favorite Arkham game, but if there's one thing I can't deny, it's that the story definitely has its problems. So I wanted to put together a video rewriting the story in a way that I think could definitely make it better. And, you guys let me know what you think, but I'm just going to jump right into it. And basically, the game is just going to start out the same. Batman's going to find out Scarecrow's plan to release his toxin all over the city. He tracks down that militia APC and finds that uncontaminated sample of the toxin. Then he goes to the clock tower and meets with Barbara, where they trace the source of Scarecrow's toxin, and they figure out that he's operating at Ace Chemicals. Batman gets his new suit, gears up, and then he goes over there. And this is where the story really starts to kind of change up a little bit. We all know that he meets the Arkham Knight there for the first time. But I changed it up, and instead of the Arkham Knight, he's going to see Slade. So he's going to encounter Deathstroke instead in that helicopter during that scene. So after that, Batman rescues the hostages at Ace Chemicals. And then you have that tank fight with all the Cobra tanks. And then Batman heads deeper down into Ace Chemicals, locates the toxin, finds Scarecrow. And then you get that scene where he tells them that they have Barbara captured. And then, as you know, after that, Batman gets exposed to the toxin. And basically, the rest of the plot kind of remains the same, with Batman trying to track down Barbara. And then again, similarly, just like the game, Batman meets up with Nightwing, works to take down Penguin, who is supplying Deathstroke weapons. And they find Penguin, and then Penguin reveals to Batman that he was going to see Simon Stagg. And then that might lead them closer to Barbara. Batman gets inside Stagg's airship, tracks down Stagg, and then he finds out that Stagg was working with Scarecrow to create the Cloudburst. And Stagg says Scarecrow is on the other ship, so Batman goes to the other ship, finds Crane again, but just like in the game, Scarecrow escapes, and instead of the Arkham Knight this time, it's Deathstroke who rescues Scarecrow and flies away on that big chopper. Crane climbs on the helicopter and they fly away. And then obviously you get that scene afterwards where Batman hallucinates Barbara's death. And then we find out that, he needs Poison Ivy's help. He goes and gets Poison Ivy's help. And they try to locate the Cloudburst and head back to the clock tower. And they start scanning the city for the Cloudburst tank. But just like in the game as well, the chat that they're having gets interrupted by Harley Quinn, who breaks into the Panessa Studios, and that whole thing goes down. Batman heads down there, meets Robin, and, they round up the infected and stop Harley, and Batman gets all those Jason flashbacks. They round up the remaining infected, then they capture Harley, and then basically after that, just like in the game, we find out that Jim Gordon got captured. And so, you go track down Gordon, you find the Arkham Knight, or in this case, Deathstroke. You have that tank fight with him in the underground tunnels. After that, you rescue Jim, and then you fight the ninjas. And this time is where it gets different again. Batman encounters Slade again, and he reveals that he's dying. And so Deathstroke needs Batman's help, but Batman refuses to help him. But Slade reveals that Barbara is alive and that if he doesn't help, he's going to kill her. So then, taking from the Season of Infamy DLC, in order to save Deathstroke, Batman tracks down the League of Assassins, and basically he is trying to find the Lazarus Pit. But in doing so, he finds out that Ra's al Ghul is using the Lazarus Pit. So that adds another layer of complication to this whole matter. So he also has to stop Ra's. So he goes and tracks down the Lazarus source and destroys it. But before he destroys it, he takes a sample for himself so he can save Ra's so he doesn't die. And he heads back to the League's base. And just as he's about to destroy the Lazarus Pit, Jason appears.
Okay, future me here. I did have an alternate version where Damian Wayne actually appeared here in this scene to come back and avenge his mother's death and protect his father because he blames what happened to them on Batman. But just before the two start fighting, Talia steps in and it's revealed that she's actually alive. And this kind of plays off a little Easter egg that was in Arkham City where after the Clayface reveal, Talia's body is actually missing during the events of the final boss fight in Arkham City. Now, whether the devs actually intended for this to happen or it was a mistake, we don't know. But what does support the theory even more, though, is that in Arkham Knight we can also find where her body is supposed to be in Elliott Memorial Hospital, and it's not there. Which means the League could have stole it and used the pit to revive her. The reason I chose not to include this, though, was because I felt like it would convolute things too much, and I wanted to keep true to Rocksteady's original idea. But let me know what you guys think on this idea. Anyway, back to the video.
This is where we get the Arkham Knight.
The reason why I chose to include Jason here is because I figured it would make more sense to have him working with Deathstroke. And if you remember, Deathstroke was the one who freed Jason during the Arkham Knight prequel comic.
And so, shocked and lost for words, Batman asks, "How? Joker sent me the film. I watched you die." And then Jason replies, "How do you think we found Barbara? And now Robin, who you locked in that cell. How long did you wait before replacing me? A month? A week? You always told me to focus on what you want to achieve, and then you'd achieve it." And then he says, "You know what I want now? I want you dead." And this is where we get an epic Deathstroke-style fight with Jason that we never really got in Arkham Knight. And we get a proper boss fight. Batman has that fight with Jason, who's trying to prevent Batman from getting to Ra's. And now with Jason defeated, Batman asks why he's doing this. And says we can fix this together. It's not too late. And this is where Jason tells Batman his motives. Jason says that Ra's was more of a father than he ever was, and that the reason he was still standing and talking to Batman right now.
And the reason being is
Ra's used the pit on Jason. That's how he survived. Jason lowers his gun that was aimed at Batman. Batman tells Jason he's sorry, and he tries to tell Jason his side of the story. And Batman goes to the machine supplying the Lazarus pit to Ra's, destroys it, only to turn around and find that Jason has disappeared and Nyssa is standing in his place. She tells Batman that he did the right thing, and Batman warns her not to make him regret doing what he just did. Batman has a moment with Alfred and tells him that Jason is still alive, and then suddenly Alfred tells Batman that they finally located the Cloudburst. This whole thing was just a giant distraction to buy Crane more time to make the Cloudburst.
Deathstroke was never really dying in the first place.
So Crane detonates the Cloudburst. The whole city is covered in fear gas. Batman goes to recruit Poison Ivy to help him purify the toxin, but she refuses. And this is where we borrow from another side mission in the game. Batman goes to seek Catwoman's help, because those two already have some history. However, she's captured by Riddler. And in order to rescue her, you have to go through all the Riddler puzzles and free her from the bomb collar that's around her neck. Don't worry, though. You don't have to collect all 240-something Riddler trophies, though. So anyway, they find Ivy, and they have a fight with her, kind of similar to the fight we had in Arkham Asylum. And with the help of Catwoman, she finally agrees to help Batman. But in order to do this, Batman needs to repair the Batmobile. So he goes to Stag's airship, interrogates Stag, gets the Nimbus cell generator, and repairs the Batmobile. Then you get that tank fight with the Cloudburst and those Cobra tanks. Then after they purify the remaining toxin and save the city of Scarecrow's fear gas, Batman goes to rescue Barbara. He ends up saving her, but Gordon gets captured.
Once again.
So Batman takes Barbara back to the GCPD, sets her up there. Batman fights against the army of tanks that are attacking the GCPD and saves everybody. And then you get that scene where Scarecrow tells Batman that he needs to take off his mask or that all his friends are going to die. And then you get that scene between Barbara and Batman where Barbara basically says he's got to do anything to get them back, whatever it takes. And because of this, Batman decides to turn himself into Scarecrow. He surrenders his utility belt, and right before he hops in the van that takes him to Arkham Asylum, Deathstroke appears for one final time. And this is where the player finally gets to fight him. But no. Not that crappy boss fight we got as a side mission. No. We get a proper hand-to-hand boss fight just like we got in Arkham Origins. Obviously, Batman wins, gets inside the van, and then we get that iconic scene where they head off to Arkham Asylum, and Batman ends up getting unmasked. However, in my version, he doesn't get unmasked, because here's where the twist happens. We cut to a flashback scene maybe 10 minutes prior, and we see that Jason has now had a change of heart and realized he was wrong. And so Jason and Nightwing work together and track the van that Batman is in to Arkham Asylum. Batman arrives to Arkham Asylum, locks the Joker out of his mind, but right before Scarecrow can reveal his identity, the screen cuts to Jason and
Nightwing, where you
play as them and take out the guards outside of the asylum, sneak in, and disable the live stream and prevent Batman's identity from being revealed to the world. Scarecrow takes off Batman's mask. Nothing happens. Then out of nowhere, Jason and Nightwing flip in, free Batman, and save him. His identity is still safe. Bruce thanks them, and it's at this moment that he thinks he's cured himself of the Joker disease and locked Joker out of his mind, but he hasn't. Batman turns into the Batman who laughs. We never got that in the game. We did maybe for like a split second, but they never really went anywhere beyond that. But in this version, he turns straight up evil. And do you remember that cure that Robin was supposedly working on in the game that never got followed up on? And we never heard anything about it after the Panessa Studios mission? Well, this time, we actually get to use it. You play as Robin, Nightwing, and Jason, and you have to have a huge boss battle with Batman in order to restrain him enough so that they can administer the cure and save his life. And now, you may be wondering, what about the ending? If Batman's identity didn't get revealed, there's no reason for Batman to retire. And exactly, that's the point. With Batman's identity not being exposed to the world, Batman gets to continue being Batman. Or he could retire and use the fear toxin as a weapon and continue his legend that way. But it's up to you guys. You could have either or, in my opinion, but I'm curious what you guys think in the comments and what you think of this rewrite. Did you like the original game better? Did you like my rewrite? Let me know. Thanks for watching, and let me know if you'd like to see more of this kind of content. And I will see you guys later. Peace out.